Hi all, and thanks for attending today's webinar. My name is Lars Heinelt, and I am the Nordic category manager at Microsoft for the OEM server platform. Today, I'll be talking to you about the Azure Stack HCI and the different types of validated solutions we're offering in collaboration with our hardware vendors through Atios. So please feel free to type in questions in the dialog box, and we will review at the end of the presentation in our Q&A session. So let's look at the Azure Stack HCI. So at Microsoft Inspire 2020, Microsoft announced a new operating system for Azure connected HCI customers. The new OS is the evolution of Microsoft Windows Server-based Azure Stack HCI program, and it is an exciting development for all our customers. In the words of Satya Nadella, Azure Stack HCI delivers a hyperconverged infrastructure software as a native Azure service, providing an easy way to manage clusters and virtual machines from the Azure portal and seamlessly move between local and cloud management tools. So in this presentation, I will address the most common questions around the new offering, comparing it to the Windows Server 2019 Enabled HCI in regards to positioning and sales guidance for all resellers. So first off, let's quickly look at the Azure Stack portfolio to get an overview of the different Microsoft offerings. Azure Stack HCI joins the growing family of Azure Stack products, with Azure Stack Edge offering Microsoft-issued hardware that connects on-premise solutions to the cloud through Azure Cloud Connection, providing machine learning at the edge of customer on-premise solutions. And Azure Hub offering the perfect solution for server environments with limited or unreliable access to the internet or public cloud, thereby enabling workloads in disconnected scenarios. With Azure Stack Hub, you run cloud services on-premises, and you can run Azure infrastructure as a service and platform as a service on-premise to consistently build and run cloud apps anywhere, managed with the Azure portal on-premises. With Azure Stack HCI, you run virtualized workloads on-premises, managed with Windows Admin Center and with the familiar Windows Server tools. You can also connect to Azure for hybrid scenarios like cloud-based site recovery, monitoring, and other things. Customers wanting to upgrade from Azure Stack HCI to Azure Stack Hub can migrate their workloads from Azure Stack HCI to Azure Stack Hub on Azure. So if a customer already bought an Azure Stack system, this is still an investment worth making, seeing that the Azure Stack Hub, formerly known as Azure Stack, is a Microsoft solution for running Azure services as a cloud on-premise. For the parts of the IT estate that needs a cloud experience like self-service, DevOps, tooling, cloud platform service, etc., Azure Stack Hub is the best solution. For the parts of the IT estate that needs to run more like traditional server infrastructure, adding Azure Stack HCI solutions as needed is now a great opportunity with even more hybrid capabilities and running through a subscription model. So what is Azure Stack and what is it used for? Well, simply put, it is a hyperconverged infrastructure stack. So in other words, software from Azure that includes our latest hypervisor with built-in software-defined storage and networking that end customers install on servers that they control on their premise. This software is delivered as an Azure hybrid service. It's monitored and supported, licensed, and built through Microsoft Azure. So if the customer already has an Azure subscription, it's very easy to get started. There's no upfront license they will need to buy. And critically important, Azure Stack HCI is designed with the needs of IT front and center. It is familiar for IT to manage and operate. End customers can run Azure Stack HCI on their choice of hardware from the preferred vendor and continue using the tools and processes that IT administration already knows in regards to managing clusters and virtual machines, etc. So if we look into the legacy three-tier infrastructure, so HCI is an IT architecture in which the compute, storage, and network resources across multiple servers are virtualized, pooled, and managed together through software. An HCI cluster is made up of physical servers with local storage, all connected to each other through a fast network called an interconnect. By virtualizing and pooling all resources, HCI represents a clear alternative to both traditional data centers and storage area networks. In traditional data center, physical servers use only locally attached resources, and dedicated hardware appliances provide the other needed network functions such as firewalls, switches, and load balancers. In a SAN, data center storage is consolidated in a dedicated network and then allocated to servers outside the SAN as needed. HCI, in contrast, use storage that is local to each physical server, but in a way that is shared among all servers, and it uses virtual devices to replace dedicated hardware appliances. In other words, HCI offers the same flexibility with storage provisioning that a SAN does, but it adds flexibility in assigning other network resources as well, and it achieved this while requiring a much lower investment in terms of CapEx. Finally, because HCI offers the ability to consolidate and centrally manage resources through software, many see HCI as a superior data center architecture to some of the older alternatives we have. HCI allows companies to run storage, networking, and compute with lower CapEx and OpEx, since storage and networking are software defined and don't require the same amount of hardware and level of management. Now let's look at the core pillars that Azure Stack HCI is built on, which is Azure Hybrid by Design, enterprise scale, and price performance, as well as the familiar management and operation tools. With Azure Hybrid by Design, we of course are talking about Azure Stack HCI being born and designed for the hybrid solutions. It is an Azure service, and it should be thought of as an Azure service. Customers can monitor and manage the cluster at scale from the Azure portal. They can manage the host and virtual machine side by side and connect seamlessly to other hybrid services like Azure Security Center, Azure Backup, and Azure Site Recovery, also natively integrated and easily onboarded and provisioned. And as a service, you get unified billing, leverage Azure support plan that is already integrated for all the other cloud workloads on Azure. And finally, you get the regular and consistent features and security updates like with any other Azure service. And the final and very critical benefit is actually the new Cloud OS, including the extended security updates for all our customers' existing Windows Server 2008 and 2008 infrastructure as part of the Azure Stack HCI subscription. The second pillar is all about enterprise scale and price performance. So Azure Stack HCI is ready for IT environments of all sizes. So you can scale up from 2 nodes to a multiple set of nodes or units. So it meets all the needs of an enterprise as well as the small and medium businesses. It also has a simple and flat monthly subscription model to manage the cost and thereby easily scaling up and down, reaping the benefits of the infrastructure options the best way possible. It is optimized for high performance workloads as SQL Server and supports both Windows and Linux virtualization platforms. And IT management can build on their familiarity and knowledge of Azure with Windows Server Windows Server and Hyper-V to manage and operate Azure Stack HCI, which is based on the foundation of how Microsoft built the Azure platform. So everything is managed through Windows Admin Center, either on-premise or in the cloud, connected or disconnected. So what is the relationship between the new Azure Stack HCI OS and the Windows Server OS that we all know? The first point to accentuate is that Azure Stack HCI is a new and distinct product line, not a subset of Windows Server. Both operating systems have a feature-rich roadmap of new releases. However, the focus of the two solutions will be quite different. With Azure Stack HCI, Microsoft will concentrate their innovation efforts on making this OS the best virtualization host. Windows Server will continue to focus on being the best guest VM operating system, providing the runtime for the massive collection of Windows-based applications that exist in the industry. It will also continue to be the best choice for running those applications on bare metal, as with customers still running applications like SQL in a traditional non-virtualized manner. Azure Stack HCI will be the future platform for Hyper-V, Storage Space Direct, and virtual networking enhancements and investments. All the rest of the plethora of Windows Server roles will continue to operate on Windows Server. Keep in mind that Microsoft will take a phased approach in regards to capabilities like Hyper-V and Storage Space Direct on Windows Server, and all the new innovations that are being developed for those technologies will be targeted at Azure Stack HCI. As another side note, customers may run the Azure Stack HCI OS in virtual machines for very specific software-defined network roles like network controller. With Windows Server, think Windows applications like SQL Server. For Azure Stack HCI, thinking about running all the mission-critical applications optimally inside Windows or Linux virtual machines. Given its context as a purpose-built operating system for virtualization, Azure Stack HCI will be run on hardware owned by the end customer in their data center or at their edge location. Windows Server can be run anywhere, on premises, on virtual or physical hardware, or on Azure or in other public cloud providers. Windows Server licensing will continue with the same traditional licensing options, whereas Azure Stack HCI will be a subscription-based and not a perpetual license. The OS is registered with an Azure subscription for billing. There is no guest VM licensing included in the Azure Stack HCI OS, which is similar to other virtualization platforms that we have out there. Windows Server virtual machines will have to be licensed in the traditional way with Windows Server licenses. All virtual machines can also be licensed through a Linux subscription. Look at a few other items worth mentioning is that Azure Stack HCI will be delivered with the server core experience only, so no full desktop experience. Windows Server will continue with both. So Azure Stack HCI won't have a yearly based product name because it will have annual features updates and monthly quality and security updates, whereas Windows Server will continue with a yearly new launches like we have with Windows Server 2016, Windows 2019, and now with Windows Server 2022 in the fall. And here we have an overview of the Microsoft HCI model, which is based on the validated partner hardware with a host operating system, including Hyper-V, software-defined storage, networking, and compute, all managed through Windows Admin Center, connected or disconnected. So what is the benefit? With Azure Stack HCI as a subscription model, our customers are always entitled to run the latest version of their operating system. This service includes the Azure management capabilities like Azure Policy and Azure Governance. Since the service is built to the Azure subscription, it will also count towards Azure Monitor Commit. So our end customers might ask, what about paying for virtual machines? So that they can either choose to run virtualization through Microsoft licensing or through Linux. It's open to those both. So this is basically a continuation of the OpEx model that Azure is built on. Microsoft has been shifting from perpetual licensing to subscription service over the last number of years. You could like compare it to what we had with the Office licenses, when we think Office versus Microsoft 365, and we can expect this trend to continue with new products and services as they're introduced. So if we look at how we license our hyperconverged infrastructure, we now have two ways of implementing hyperconverged infrastructure with both Azure Stack and HCI, and Windows Server 2019 Enabled HCI being options for our customers. If we look at quick look at what distinguishes the two solutions. So we can see on the left side, we have the legacy Windows Server 2019 Enabled HCI, and on the right side, we have integrated system from Microsoft Azure Stack HCI. So with the Windows Server 2019, this runs both connected and disconnected from Azure. So there are no need to be constantly connected. Whereas the Azure Stack HCI has a 30-day minimum connected. So you need to be connected to Azure every 30 days at a minimum. On Enabled HCI, we need the host operating system to be Windows Server 2019 data center, because that is what provides us with the opportunity to run software-defined networking storage. Whereas Azure Stack HCI has the operating system already is included on everything, but then you will have to license your virtual machines through either standard licenses or data center licenses. So here we have an overview of the complete solution. So as we looked at before with the Azure Stack HCI overview model, we have a base on running on validated nodes from our partners. So on top of that, we have a host layer where on one part we have Windows Server 2019 as the operating system, and on the other hand, we have Azure Stack HCI operating system as the host OS. Now, with a Windows Server 2019 Enabled HCI, all the virtual machines will already be licensed, seeing that we have the data center license. On the other hand, Azure Stack HCI OS, you will need to license your virtual machine layer. So that means you can either choose to run Linux virtualization platform or Microsoft virtualization platform. If you choose to run Microsoft virtualization platform, you can choose either standard licensing or Windows Server 2019 data center licensing. With data center licensing, you have unlimited amount of virtual machines. With the standard licenses, you're limited to 2 virtual machines per license per node. So if we look at the management layer, we are on both sides. We have managed integration with Windows Admin Center, and we have for the integrated system from Microsoft Azure Stack HCI, we have a natively integrated system that runs fully functional with the Azure portal. Whereas the Windows Server 2019 Enabled HCI is a capable, Azure-capable solution. With both, we have Robo, SQL, Hyper-V Refresh, and VDI solutions incorporated. But in order to run Azure Kubernetes services or or stretch clustering, etc., you will have to change or shift to an Azure Stack HCI model. So if we take a deeper look into the licensing model, we see here that the Azure Stack HCI licensing part is a host Azure Stack HCI. So it's a host solution, host OS, with data center features. All the guest licenses either that runs in the virtualization platforms will either be Linux or Windows Server, right? It's all managed through Windows Admin Center and Azure Arc, and it's bought through our enterprise agreements, our CFP partners, or direct with Microsoft. It has a monthly subscription model, so there's no upfront payment. The list price is $10 per core per month, and the Azure has the Premier support as a support plan. So the minimum buy-in is 1 core. In most cases, it would be of course 2 cores. So, and then it runs on all known languages. So taking a look, quick overview on what I mentioned before, where we see the host subscription being Azure Stack. Either we run Linux virtualization or Microsoft virtualization. With the Azure Stack host OS, Stack HCI OS, then we have to license across the Microsoft the platform that we're running our virtual machines on, and that could either be from Linux, or in case you see on the right, as I said before, Windows Server 2019 Standard and Windows Server 2019 Data Center. So if we see, look a bit about the update cadence. So as we know, we have on Windows Server, the perpetual license, we have a 3-year plan where we run Windows Server 2016, and then we launched Windows Server 2019, and now in the fall we're going to launch Windows Server 22. But with the Azure Stack HCI, we're going to have monthly security and quality updates, and occasionally once or twice per year we're going to have new features. So we're going to run a new feature update. And this is what is distinguishing the 2 licenses right now in regards to features. So, of course, we talked about before, we have a hybrid solution with the Azure Stack HCI natively integrated with all the Azure cloud services. You get built-in stretch clustering and disaster recovery. Also, you have the opportunity to run Azure Kubernetes services. And as a fourth thing and final thing, which is really, really important for most customers, is that you have a free extended security update to run Windows Server 2008 and 28R2, which was end of support last year in January. And for most of our SMB customers, or let's say like almost half our SMB customers are still running a legacy Windows Server 2008 operating system, making them vulnerable to cyber attacks and losing all their critical data mass. So this is very important for them, that they are going to be able to run legacy applications on Windows Server 2008. So if we look at when to use Azure Stack HCI, modernizing foundation infrastructure and benefiting from the no-cost extended security updates when migrating Windows Server 2008, as I just mentioned, running those having those security updates on the workloads that and being able to migrate them to Windows Server 2019 platform is key for some of our end customers. Obtaining trusted enterprise virtualization requirements by providing a highly secure infrastructure for workloads through virtualization-based security. And then, of course, lowering lowering the capex by reducing server rack footprints and lower cooling and utility costs by upgrading from legacy storage, thereby gaining better efficiency and lower cost. It's easy and affordable way to modernizing branch offices by bringing efficient IT to remote locations at the right price by leveraging switches deployment and two-node clusters and easily managing the whole thing from a single pane of glass. This is also the industry best performance for SQL Server databases with millions of storage IOPS and database transactions possible. This is leveraging the embedded architecture to ensure great performance for demanding SQL Server-based applications. Virtual desktops infrastructure with edge local access, enabling remote work with low latency and data sovereignty. Azure Stack HCI, you will be able to deliver VDI to a wide range of devices without allowing users to store data locally or uploading data from local devices, thereby providing a secure way to deliver desktop services. The new HCI OS is a clear testament to Microsoft focus on hybrid infrastructure and a clear indication of the importance of hyperconverged infrastructure to transform on-premise infrastructure as a whole. Microsoft, by creating a new operating system with a different release model, we've allowed to decouple feature development from the Windows Server long-term service brands, and thereby accelerating delivery of hyperconverged infrastructure features, as we talked about before, and providing the best experiences for our growing customer base. Additionally, tight integration with Azure opens new use cases such as Azure Hyper Services and management that can be extended to on-premise environments. So look at it like this. So if going virtual with Windows Server 2019 Enabled HCI, we're looking at our target customers being small to medium with a limited budget. They have like standard HCI capabilities, not that many server roles. It's also some customers that still prefer a perpetual licensing model. They might not need cloud services at the same level as others. And this is all already something that they know and are familiarized with, and it's of course available for all our partners. And then we have a hyper model, Microsoft Azure Stack HCI, which we primarily target towards medium to large customers, but is also suitable for smaller corporations. This is basically a need to extend capabilities beyond like the pure HCI. So we talked about before, stretch clustering, container, through Kubernetes services, hybrid cloud services as well, and integrated with Azure Portal. It's also for those that still want to run legacy applications through Windows Server 2008 and 2008.2. And of course, if we have customers that prefer the pay-per-use model, a subscription model, or may already have an Azure subscription. So to summarize, from a Microsoft point of view, we want to modernize and transform the existing infrastructure, the existing infrastructure solutions. We want to refresh aging server architecture and implement HCI solutions, and thereby improving reliability and performances. Leveraging Azure Hybrid by design, and building cloud-native applications using containers. And of course, we want to replace aging IT infrastructures that are no longer able to like cope with increasing compute and storage capacity requirements, or when performance and scalability limits are too expensive to maintain for our end customers. Changing storage strategy by getting rid of external storage systems and consolidating server and storage resources on validated servers. And all in all, like creating the most cost-efficient, high availability solution for server and storage. This basically concludes my presentation on Azure Stack HCI and Windows Server 2019 Enabled HCI, and it brings us to the Q&A. So if there is any questions, please feel free to ask them now, and I will just review if we have any questions still. So if we don't have any questions, I just want to guide you towards our expert zone at Microsoft. So what we have at Microsoft is a web page where you are able to log in and look into and deep dive into the whole Microsoft world with Azure, SQL licensing, etc., etc. So there we also have different features on Windows Server 2019. We're going to have features on Windows Server 2022 we can view, and there is introduction to servers for SMBs, introduction to the Azure Stack HCI, the Azure portal, and you are able to do different model and train yourselves in knowledge. And as an extra service and as a little bit of a teaser and incentive, we have the opportunity, as once if you go to the expert zone and you manage to finish one of the modules, please feel free to send me a mail on my mail address you see in this presentation, and then I will return to you with an expert zone start kit as a prize. So make sure to join in and check out the expert zone. It's fun, and there's a lot of great training and modules that you can complete, and you can gain a lot of knowledge from that. So that basically concludes my session today. So I want to thank you all for participating, and have a great day. Thank you all.